Hi everybody and welcome back to One Shot on ChesterView, and I'm joined with Nigel. Hey Nigel.
Hey man.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time. I think last time I saw you was on the Seine for the Halcyon Hayes party, the Vapexpo week. So we're not far off now.
It's a few years ago, I think. Not more than 10, but
no,
no
probably
less than 8.
Yeah. I think 8 maybe. Maybe 8.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Well, it feels like a very long time I've been in this industry, but it's only coming up to 14 years, and in the greater scheme of things, it's not that long.
Yeah.
But within this industry, it's almost entirety.
It's from the start of the industry.
Yeah.
For those who were raised under a rock or didn't know who Nigel is, you're the creator of T-Juice, the infamous red aster.
Indeed, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The red liquid that everybody vaped.
Brands and even less people will know Halcyon Hayes. But very much a specialist brand as well. And there were a number of other ones I released in the market. Super close to my heart, these brands were and still are. Obviously, I'm not involved with them anymore. I have no control over them, but the people, I think, all the various people who have taken them over are committed to the brands, and they're going to do a good job. So, I wish them the best of them, because as I said, it's one of those things, you always keep your eye on it and you always think, what's going to happen. But
it's pretty much like your kid growing up and then doing their own things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is, and it's a good thing, and it flourishes and it carries on its life. And most importantly, it's helped millions of people quit these brands. So and stay off tobacco. Hopefully, this is the key thing. And unfortunately, a message that's been lost at the moment. In the communications.
It is. Yeah. It is. Especially in the media, but we're going to talk about that anyway, because you're very involved in, vaping advocacy since day one. Because I remember
for my sins.
I remember a night we had together in the lobby of a hotel around a whiskey bottle, and we talked about advocacy and the future of vaping. It was a few years ago. I want to go back real quick on this and your 14 years in vaping, which is history, basically. What has changed?
Well, I suppose if you start at the beginning, obviously, I find it's kind of circular. This, so it's a cycle. So very much, let's start at the beginning. There were cigar-like products. These were the first ones that entered the market. Very, very poor hardware, predominantly made in the Chinese juices. So the flavors were strange, to be honest, at that time.
Strange, that's a kind word.
Well, I'm trying to be sensitive. And generally it wasn't a good product to help people quit. But the good thing is, the one positive thing is, you could have 36 milligrams or more in for a heavy smoker. So although the negativity of the juice and the hardware, or the flavors and the hardware, it did deliver the nicotine that some people needed. Obviously things have changed a lot with hardware and juice and so on. And then we, just to go back, I had a company selling these things, these terrible products. But what was good is, because we set up in London stations, we had these experiential gazebos, in London Victoria Station, in Euston Station, Liverpool Street, and many others.
You started in the front line, basically.
Yeah, the front line. It was really, really interesting. We had lots of people. We got loads of out-of-work actors to work on it, so they could really engage with people, and we had a lot of fun. And really, it was just about people showing them this new product, and they thought it was a joke or something for a party at the beginning, But when they tried it, they started saying, actually, this is something that can potentially take me off tobacco. I think then it was less effective. We started seeing a real change, and this was something that caught my attention, was when you had the CE4s coming in and the open systems. Because people could put their own juices in it, and this was the rise of the locally made juice. And people could localize the flavoring, which was super important for people, because like when you're in France, you have a certain flavor set that you appreciate, and it's not going to be exactly the same in the UK,
and it's not going to be the same in Germany or in Italy.
But actually, interesting, going back to the cigar-like products, what we did is, I was like, I really don't like these flavors, honestly, and we looked at the SDSs, the safety data sheets, just to translate, and they weren't the same. They weren't the same product. So I was like, I can't morally put these in my body or someone else's body because I was vaping.
Yeah.
And I never want to do this. This has always been my basics of it. If you know, you have to be happy what you're vaping to give it to other people.
Sure.
And that means a deep analysis on it. So GCMS and all the other expected things. But what we did is we were the first in Europe to make them, send them to Shenzhen in China, have them co-packed and sent back. And I went, wow, this is going to be amazing. Everyone's going to love my juice because it's foreign made, but it wasn't that big, the industry then. Yeah. So it was like, a lot of people were like, yeah, much better flavors. We like the flavors, but it didn't like grow like rocket fuel like I thought it would do. You know?
Yeah.
So it was one
you
of
were a bit
things.
too early, but
yeah.
Still you were on the right track.
That's the story of my life.
But you were on the right track though.
Yeah, I think so.
Believing in vaping back in the days, 14 years ago, it was like, people look at you funny when you were vaping. I remember that very fondly.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
even years after that, huh?
Yeah. And the other strange thing is you could vape anywhere, because one of the driving factors, interestingly, behind it was the accessibility, and also to go into places like have a pub or something in a social environment, because you can't secondhand vape. You know, it's proven you can secondhand smoke, sure, and this is potentially very damaging because you're inhaling the carcinogens.
Yeah, actually inhaling smoke.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Bad. Yeah, so generally, yeah.
But it was proven that there's no secondhand vaping. So
yeah, that's right. Exactly.
You're off the hook.
Yeah, no, exactly. but listen, you'll always get stories telling you this is definitely, you know, the case. You know. Yeah. So that, and then obviously we had the open systems which drove to the local producers. And if you remember that, then we had lots of cottage industry turning up and innovation. And that for me was the other thing that excited me, not just about we're making a product to help people get off tobacco, which was the core, but also the fact that we're innovating and innovating quickly. So with the complexity of the flavors, which was what I enjoyed. And my thing has always been, I want to make a product that you can vape all day. Because if you can't vape it all day, then you can't substitute tobacco.
Yeah. Obviously,
it's the same thing, you know. But so, you know, not all products are like that.
Sounds obvious when you say it like this.
Hope so, yeah.
But it isn't apparently. But now I think there's kind of different. We have so many choices in vaping that you can have a dessert vape that you vape only after eating, and then have an all day vape that you vape the rest of the day. So
and there's room for all of these, and I think that's super important. Because you can compare it to drinks of some sort, not talking about alcoholic and food. Yeah. It's a consumption, you know? Yeah. So like I think it's key. Yeah, it's key. It's absolutely key to have these products.
When did you really blow up in vaping? What was the year? The year where everything was at the peak.
I suppose, well, one of our platforms, obviously, you know, early on, the real vocal part, because it was, at the beginning, a lot of the vaping industry was made up of the hobbyists, yeah? So people like you and me early on, I mean, I was the worst person at making coils ever. So I soon quit.
It's often the case.
Yeah. I mean, you can see with my stuff here, I mean, I gave up a long time ago on this, but I had very good friends who used to make them for me. Then tell me to stop bugging them, you know? But no, for me, it was probably 2013. Okay. So with the forums, just going back to the forums, they were very vocal. We were very engaged with the forums. There was a lot in the UK, in France, lots of big websites, and you could be very active in this because it meant that you could connect with the consumer. And we weren't doing this as a brand for any other reason but to help people get access to the products and understand more about the products. And they could learn about the products. It was about outreach. It was that little bit that a brand could do on top of what things were happening in the vape shops. And obviously that's the key place for people to help them give up smoking, what we call it in the UK is smoke and cessation. Yeah. It's really the fundamental of how we get people off cigarettes and tobacco. And then the other part was we had a big thing you probably remember, and obviously the Vapexpo, but Vape Fest in the UK. Yeah. So this really helped us once again with the consumers. And I think what happened is we felt we were making something slightly different in the UK at the time because it was more complex, the liquid, and you know you had different sensations. And I think it was about probably 2013, 2014, it really started growing because the industry started growing then as well.
Yeah,
you know,
I think,
so
10
it blew
years
up
ago.
at the same time,
Yeah.
but we were lucky to be blowing up with it. We weren't going underwater.
Riding the wave.
We were on the wave, we weren't going down, exactly, which was a really good thing. And it was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. In those days, it was so much fun because you had competitors, but they're all friends, all with the same struggles. I mean, just going back to originally in the UK, the big threat at the beginning was, we're going to make this a medicinal product before there was any vape regulation in tobacco. And that would mean all the goods off your shelves in 21 days. We were like, oh, you know,
21 days.
21 days and your business is gone.
Very short
so
notice.
we were like, well, that was fun. You know, but that didn't happen.
You get used to it, right? Because being in vaping for 14 years with all the threats that we have, whereas there are, you know, laws that are, you know, menacing the whole industry, or just, you know, claims. Evali, we were talking off air.
Yeah.
You have a lot of threats all the time. And did you get at any point kind of numb to this? Did you become numb to this?
Yeah, definitely. I think probably probably just after the 20th of May 2016, which we know the date, the TPD.
Yeah.
When that hit the shelves. We say this.
Hit the shelves.
Hit the shelves, man. And for me, it was like, okay, good. And I think we as a company, I say we, but mainly me, put in over £1 million into compliance, real honest compliance of the product in line with our interpretation of the TPD2 Article 20. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen to all the stuff that, you know, that's out there that isn't really supposed to be on the market? And it was just like flatline.
Yeah.
2017, flatline. 2018, flatline. And I was like, and then I coined the phrase, which is, maybe you can translate it into French, but I called it TPD toothless. That means it's got no teeth, because there was never any enforcement. So all the businesses, and there's a lot of businesses out there, you know, who invested in this, a lot of money, felt let down by governments everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they invested in something, they did the right thing by the business, and no one helped them.
And it cost them their business sometimes.
Some of the people lost their businesses, which is really, really hard.
Yeah, just for regulation that nobody was really following.
No one cared about. And that sets a bad precedent. Because what it says to the industry is that that basically, we can put regulations in place, but we can't enforce them. So this is the same issues that we're having now, you know, because if you bring new regulations in place, okay, talk to us about it, but you can't enforce them. So what's the point? Yeah. And actually, if those same people, and if there are more of those people doing the right thing, because it's a bigger industry, and I think it's super professionalized, most of it. So well done to a whole load of companies out there who have done this. Then it's just killing them as well, because it creates there's a grey market, and then there's a big black market. And in the UK, it's really significant.
It's you have a lot of
scary.
50 milligram.
Everything, everything, like, and you know, things like this, flashing, you know, look like a discotheque, you know, put it on your ceiling, and you know, you got smoke machine and everything, you know.
That's crazy. For €9. That's cool.
It's good. Yeah, maybe we'll get one.
It's good value.
But joking aside, it's a serious problem. And actually, the size, I've been told, once again, it's second-hand information, maybe third-hand information, that the size of the black market in the UK, and mainly disposables, pretty much everything disposables, is the same size as the legitimate market. And we know how big that is. It's a seriously big market. So it's a significant problem. And then when you say, we'll just ban disposables, and listen, I'll go on record, I'm not a fan of disposables for environmental reasons.
On your new site,
what you see.
There's even quit disposables. Just refill them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can refill. Even a pod is much better, closer to something that's environmentally more sound. But you've got devices like this, and you know, you never throw away. You don't throw away your tank. The only way you throw away is you break it.
It's €400, so I'm not going to throw it away.
No, definitely not. So
it's not.
No.
It could be, but it's not.
Yeah. So it's a big problem. This trust. this trust in, we can regulate things, but we won't do anything about it. Or we will try and do something about it, but we don't have the resources to do it. We don't know really about it. And I think everything in life is about, and this is like my kids, it's like, they're like, oh, we don't like to make mistakes. I said, listen, if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. Yeah, so you need to make, so TPD2, we can all agree was a bit of a mistake, as a legislation. It didn't protect, let's put it like this, the people who had invested in it, because clearly there was 0 milligram and you could make any product you wanted if it was
with
0
no
milligram,
declaration.
With no declaration or anything. But we didn't protect those people, but we can't enforce the actual regulation we put in place.
Yeah, so, it's still not enforced, I think.
So that lesson hasn't been learned, The other lesson that's more worrying for me is that they're not engaging with stakeholders. Yeah, they didn't do it on TPD2, as we know.
But why though? Why not?
I don't know. I have, people probably don't know this about me, but or might do a lot less people, because flavors is great and it's really important, super important. But we as my colleagues in my company, we had 20 scientists working for us. So we were really serious about the qualitative aspect of our business and the sector. So we wanted to try and lead it. And we invested a lot in technical ability. We have been to DG Santé, DG Tax UD for the taxation. Not lobbying, because it's a dirty word, but engaging with the politicians.
Well, you can say lobbying. Yeah. I mean, it's okay to lobby for vaping.
Yeah, it is. Okay. But unfortunately, once again, we get tied in with a tobacco conversation. Oh, yeah. So that's it, and that's another part of this conversation, I think. But yeah, we invested a lot of time in that. We were involved in the SEN process. Now, this is my little light of hope. And the SEN process. This was the quality standard for Europe, for vaping products. So we all got together, and it basically, to create this quality standards, you need 5 member states, and we were a member state before. Yeah.
Before the catastrophe.
I have a European passport, so I can talk like this. We were developing this process. I had 2 of my staff on it. What was interesting is DG Santé just had 1 observer before the COVID came. So we were like, they're not really taking this very seriously. They're just looking at us to see what these people in the industry and health professionals, just keep an eye on us, stay there. But what was interesting, when they returned, not after COVID, because it exists still, but when it was less worry about it, globally, they had 2 people in each of the 3 groups, so actively participating. So my glimmer of hope coming back to that is that this is a stakeholder engagement. They take this and they transpose some of this real hard work done by a lot of people at cost, because it cost all these organizations and people a lot of money to do it, including ourselves, in time, in effort, and really thinking about it. It was highly intellectual people that didn't just vape, but were scientists as well. And it carved out what we think is a sensible way to go for vaping. Yeah. If you ask me, it's a little bit too much sometimes, you think, because I don't think it should be, but considering the current optics, we need to create a sensible regulation. It's sensible.
It goes a bit too far, you think?
Probably sometimes. A little bit in my mind, but that's a personal opinion. Yeah.
Like the exact number of milliliters you get from a drop of liquid?
I mean, listen, I think once again, it's proving what is existing at the moment and as far as professionalism and stuff, but it's slightly onerous in the sense of reporting and stuff, as we know. It's just a little bit too much. But once again, it comes back to that fundamental argument. We, as a vape industry, are in a tobacco regulation.
Which is insane.
They're going to put us a farmer. They said, no, there's another place we can put you in tobacco. And I kind of, at that point, because it was very early on, it wasn't a big business at that point, because it wasn't anything like it is today. You can argue to say, if I'm playing devil's advocate, you can argue to say, yeah, maybe to them it was easy, it made sense, just put it in something because that. But the reality is now, really, do we need to be part of TPD3? No.
No, we don't.
No, and that's the point.
That would be better to have like a VPD or something, just vaping. Because it's always been you're a cure or you're a tobacco product. If you're a cure, then you're medicine, then you're big pharma. If you're a tobacco product, then you're from the tobacco industry, which is not of place in both cases. It's just right in the middle.
Well, that's right. Yeah, and a good place to be. But unfortunately, we are not as powerful, clearly, as either of those sectors. So
not as organized as well.
Well, yeah, there's fewer of them, clearly. And that's always been the complication of entering this market. And the beautiful thing as well, I think, is that there's a lot of people involved in it. And there's a lot of good minds and a lot of dedication and a lot of people. Definitely earlier on in the business, everyone started the business because they vaped.
Yeah. And they vape because they quit smoking with it.
Yeah, exactly. It helped them. It changed their lives. Like even, small vaping shops, the passion, and it still exists. Don't get me wrong. In that sense, it hasn't changed. But I think with the bigger market, let's say, with especially the disposables market, it's a commodity market.
Yeah.
It's not driven for those reasons. I'm not saying it's right or wrong in that sense. I'm just saying it's a different mentality. To why we started the business. So, it's one of those things, and it kind of lent on. I kind of slipped out of the business just over 2 years ago. And I was like, am I ever going to go into vaping again? I don't know. I did some other things, really not interesting for anyone from vaping.
But you came back?
I came back, yeah. And I think it wasn't anything kind of fundamental like, hey, I'm going to change everything and do this. It was just because I love it. I love the industry, and I felt like there was something missing in my life. Look, I've got family, I've got lots of other things I can do. I've got my friends I hang out with, but this was something that was really fundamental for me in my existence. And
just talking about money real quick. You didn't need to come back, yeah?
No. Well, yeah, I didn't need to come back because it's not about that for me. Even if I had needed to, I would have still done it anyhow.
Yeah.
It's not the money element, wasn't it? But I don't.
But you didn't.
No, I don't. But it's more for me, and it's not I'm coming in here, hey, I just want to have fun. No, it's a lot more fundamental for me for this because it's about the communication. And just coming on to the new brand, NuVape, is that it is NuVape.
Yeah, it's NuVape, N-U.
Yeah, and NuVape.
Just to make that clear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what brand? They're talking about the new brand, never name it.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
It's new N-U, yeah.
I'm just here to cause confusion. But yeah, no, for me it was, I wanted to, and the fundamental thing, if you look at the website, we've got characters on it. And once again, these characters are mature characters. We've got proper age gating on the website as well. And we believe strongly that the guidelines for advertising from vaping in the vape store, in the vape channel should maintain what they do at the moment. Obviously, I don't agree with people with sweet shops and stuff like this and childish figures and this is not right, but these are mature characters. And why are they mature characters? Because what we've done in it is we're telling a story, and the story for each of the characters is how they quit smoking through vaping. Yeah, because it's super important and it's about the triggers of smoking they had and how the vaping solved those problems. So the very obvious one is when you're going out socially, you might get social triggers. Yeah, in the morning you might get you're feeling tired, you get the hit of like an espresso and the vape. Wow, they metabolically do the same thing to your body, so it's a very similar drug, I suppose, in that sense. And it's about the triggers and how they found vaping. And interestingly, because I think this is the first Anglo-Franco brand actually ever, and it shows my love for France and the UK as well. And that was the kind of communication about it, because just to understand why it's that is we've got office in London, in Paris, we manufacture in the UK for the UK market, and we manufacture in France for the French market. So it's made in France product. We made the flavors around what we think where people are going with it, rather than me taking out blue ras lemonade or blah, 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 or something like this, or try and do something I did before. These we finding that they're maybe still a little bit sweeter, still complex, all day vapes, just focusing on the fruity product line to start off with. So
no tobacco?
No tobacco yet, we will, but we want to go step by step. So we're not going to go and try and be everyone's solution to start, but we think with the way the products are set up, we have an ecosystem. So the idea is that everyone from a DIYer all the way up to a closed pod system, but not disposable, can have access to these products and these flavors. So we haven't got this product yet. We're looking at open pod system as well.
Yeah.
So we can use it for our bottles. But the idea is to simplify and make DIY a bigger thing, because not just fundamentally so people can have fun and stuff, but because it saves them money. And a lot of people have less money now. And you know, this cost of living crisis, things are getting more expensive and people are earning less. Or not earning at all.
So if you're willing to put in the effort, you can have your vape at a lesser price than if you want convenience.
Well, this was the thing, and to make it accessible for people, we had to make it easy. So you go on a website, it's called DIY Builder, and you go 1 click, 2 click, drop down flavor, done, and you have your kit. So we give a kit, and we even give 2 gloves with your kit, nitrile gloves, and the pipette, so it's free, and the bottle for free. So we give it all. So we make sure that people are set up. We've got instructions, tuition, how to do it. Super simple. So people don't feel like, oh shit, I've got boosters. I've got this is just done in one. So you can buy them if you're DIY. You can buy the flavors anyhow. But all the way up to a new product we created, which we think is very interesting. It's basically a 30 ml bottle with 5 ml of concentrate. It's not super concentrate, but more than normal concentrate. A blend of 50-50, and then you add 2 shots. So you add 2 shots to the 5 ml, you make a total of 25 ml, and you have a 20 milligram shot, you have 15, 10, and 5.
Because 20, you with 5 mLs and
you make 16.
Yeah, you make 16,
yeah, you make 16.
Which is okay.
Which is high, and what we've done on top of that is we made a hybrid. So a lot of people getting into salts, a lot of people like base. We found a really good medium for the sensation, because a lot of people who are new maybe to vaping, they try high levels of salt, they get headaches, it's a bit too much the rush. And I feel this way as well, you know, because I've always been a base vapor. But also for the base vaping, you can elevate it, you can give it a bit more. Yeah, so you can give it that initial hit, but then you have the residual.
Yeah.
So you have the residual of the base going. So I think it's a perfect blend. Nothing's going to be for everyone, but I think it will capture a lot.
It's salt nicotine with heat.
With base as well. So it's gone through the salt process, so using nicotine benzoic acid. So you made nicotine benzoate, and then blending that with the base nicotine.
Yeah.
So you get this more feeling. So interestingly, when we've tried it, and we've done a lot of sampling on this, we tried it with people who are using disposables, because we want everyone to come off disposables. And we took people with 20 milligram off the salts, and we took them onto our 16 milligram blend, and they transitioned immediately.
Yeah.
So it's a direct transition, better sensation, no headaches, gives them a little bit of throat hit, but not crazy. But enough, you know.
Isn't it on the table here in the UK that they're going to ban disposables as well?
Yeah, so at the beginning of this year, they announced that they were going to ban disposables. And I think the time frame, once again, this is what we call a moving feast, anything can happen, is the end of this year, beginning of next year. And that's based on perceived and some youth uptake as well. But I think, look, listen, the vape industry, and I'm not talking about local vape, but generally outside of that, is cutting off its nose to spite its face with the disposable market. Because I think in some ways it's been an okay product, because it's given some people who don't want any faff, but I will argue this, because you can use a pod system and it's no more faff.
I mean, it's quite simple.
It's simple, but who knows? Maybe it's helped them have access and transition the little small amount from tobacco. But the impact it's had on the industry, and the danger now of the biggest health disaster, and I'm not going to compare it with COVID, but I think the governments need to think about how they perceived COVID and the risk to people. And I know, you know, you're a smoker, you're doing a bad thing, it's a sin, you know, sin tax and all these things, we'll come on to that. But the reality is these people have the right to quit smoking.
It's the same as COVID to me. Because back in the days...
You could say that, David, but I'd be very political here.
I will say it, because there was 200 people dying every day of COVID when the pandemic was at its peak in France. And they closed the country. They ruined our economy with leads to companies to keep them afloat. And it created such a turmoil in the social and economical debate in France for 200 people dying for a short period of time. But still in France, still to this day, there's 220 people dying from tobacco. So to me, banning flavors or, putting, avoiding the progression of the vaping market it's as criminal as not providing vaccines or not providing,
It's an interesting question, this, because it's kind of like, do you classify people as smokers in the same as anybody else, the same way? Because if you think about it, is it a classification issue and perception of people who smoke, and they've made this life choice to smoke? So therefore, but that's not my view at all.
That's not my view
Not at all,
either.
because we know this, because with respect in the UK, and I say deep respect, and I'm looking at you in a certain way, I had my first access to smoking at 13, and I got it through a convenience store, openly, and this was the way. So, maybe, and we know that a lot of the problems come from the wider industry in the UK of youth uptake, not at all from the vape channel. So it does not really exist at all in the vape channel. And then the further you go out, obviously supermarkets are not going to be selling to, because they are corporations, but there are other players, let's say, because it's a lot more complicated, the route to market in the UK, because you have phone shops, you have gift shops, you have anyone selling vapes.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah.
Here too, it's the same problem. You have disposables almost everywhere.
Yeah, but they still, those places would still sell, some of them would sell bottled liquid and other things, but it's obviously, it's proliferated into the wider distribution, let's put it like this. So it's highly complex.
Yeah, it is. But when you see flavor bans on the horizon, especially in the UK, I was so surprised to see that. When the government in UK was so favorable to vaping for so many years, and now coming up with, taxes and flavor bans and neutral packaging, why?
Well, I think starters, you're absolutely right. I think up to not so long ago, even friends from France would be like, we're business, we've got to get to the UK because it's like the gold standard for vaping. I mean, and it's so sensible, the conversation, the narrative there is so logical about the vaping product. Although some elements are there's always negativity, as we know, and
obviously,
and,
can't
and,
be perfect,
and
but
poor science
still.
and poor communication. And it's anything that gets readers, I suppose. But yeah, and now it's like, it's literally flipped on its head. And it's,
what happened?
I think, once again, going back to disposables, it's the way they've been positioned, and they're in other stores next to sweets. They're putting them anywhere. Some of the presentations are ridiculous, to be honest with you. And the other part that is really, really damaging is the large black market. So as I mentioned, the legal market and the black market are around the same amount. And what you mean by black market is criminality. So these are criminals selling through anywhere, really, these products, and those are the ones that tend to get into the hands of the youth, the young people. So you can see it. You walk down the street, you can see it. They're clearly not compliant because they are 10 mil, way too big, or 20 mil, 5,000 puffs. In fact, I went on Deliveroo and I think this was a mistake by Deliveroo, because it's a big platform and you can publish stuff and people didn't know. About 6 months ago, and there were people like selling 3,000 puff devices on there. And it went quickly after that, because I think someone realized that they got on there and they were
on Deliveroo.
Highly, but the face and the arrogance to think this is okay, to do this sort of thing. So once again, I think coming back to that, and why the flavor issue is, it's been rolled into this hysteria around youth uptake, which is kind of understanding to some extent, but there are other questions about, If someone was going to smoke, would it be better for them to vape? Yes, absolutely. So I'll leave it there so you can make what you want out of it.
I will cut that.
Yeah, you can
upload it to Instagram. Just that.
Yeah, we can make a GIF out of it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah.
But it's very worrying. It's super worrying because, and it kind of leads on to, I suppose, I was very privileged and very honoured to be invited as the only person outside France into the Vape Chef event. And for me, it was fundamentally a message, this event, is the importance of flavorings and really focusing on why flavorings. And it's not necessarily to align it with food, because I think the element is really, really funny and cool the way we're doing it, and it'll be really good visually. But I think people really need to understand, and I think you were talking earlier about some research that's been done into the importance of vape flavors, and what if you start restricting them, or dare I say it, ban flavors, which is always a very strange term for me, because tobacco and menthol are flavor. But
there are. Plus, it's completely counterintuitive, but you want to keep people off cigarettes, right? So you ban strawberry flavor and you allow tobacco flavor, which is insane, because the day you run out of vaping, you're already accustomed to the tobacco flavor. Yeah. So the next best thing is just to, smoke a real cigarette. It's insane. They should, and it would be stupid as well, but at least if you keep this line of reasoning, you should be more like, okay, let's ban tobacco flavors. If you're not a tobacco product, then why do you have the taste of tobacco? Because if you vape tobacco, then you're more susceptible to smoke, which is insane and stupid as well, but at least it makes sense, Yeah. For me, it doesn't, just to allow menthol and tobacco, or even just tasteless vaping.
Well, the reality is a lot of people finished smoking tobacco and went on to fruity and other flavors like that. That is the absolute truth.
I did.
And yeah, me too. Me too. Exactly the same. I mean, all sorts of crazy flavors at the beginning, because it was just a voyage of discovery. Actually, where's the flavor that I like? Yeah. But what was interesting, the thing that I found when I stopped smoking was actually my senses started returning. So my taste started returning. Like I could taste things better. So when I went and actually I vaped and we were doing tobacco products, they weren't so nice for me because I just didn't like them. Some people like them, and that's fine because everyone's different. It's subjective taste, but I never liked them. And I was like, oh, I can have a flavor I like, and it keeps me off returning to that because it's something that I like and I'm getting my nicotine hit, which was perfect for me. Yeah. So if you take that and you multiply that out, and we know that fruity is probably the biggest in category.
It is, yeah.
So
red fruit and menthol.
Red fruit and menthol. So there we go. Top of the board. Yeah. So it's clear that if you take that out and you take out all these people, where do they go?
They smoke. Because the first time I realized that smoking didn't have to taste like shit. The first drag I had on a Malibu, it was a Halo Malibu. And I dragged on this and I was like, fucking hell, man, it tastes so good. Yeah. Plus it's satisfying and I'm exhaling stuff and I'm having my nicotine. I don't want to smoke and it tastes good and it smells good in the room.
I don't smell like shit.
Yeah, I don't smell like shit.
My girlfriend or my wife or my partner doesn't have to smell this if they don't smoke, which is bad.
And the first time you realize that, you go, well, I'm never going back to smoking because it stinks, And banning flavors, to me, it's absurd. We did a study beginning of this year with IFOP. Okay. I told you about it. Yeah. We estimate that if they ban flavor in France, we have 1 million smokers on the market back to smoking, which is absolutely the worst thing that could happen. And on those 1 million people, half of them are going to die. So that's 500 people.
Prematurely.
500,000 people.
Seriously.
Dying because of stupid policy.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, it's mind-boggling.
And with respect, cancer is an awful thing.
It is.
We've all had, I'm sure, friends and family suffer from it, but a lot of the smoking cancers are extremely painful. Of the esophagus, of the lungs, of the mouth. Extremely painful and terrible.
My brother died from it, so I kind of know. Yeah.
You know this. And there was a beautiful thing, actually, going back to the original Vapexpo, is I a woman found me out, she cried because her and her family helped her quit. And this is the story of everybody, not my flavors, everybody's flavors and their products across the category. There's millions of stories like this.
Yes.
Because it's such a profound thing to stop something that is killing you. You have no control over.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why I'm equating the people dying from COVID the same way I'm equating the people dying from smoking, because it's, you know, nicotine addiction doesn't have to kill you anymore. It used to, but it doesn't have to now. And to fight against something so obvious and so efficient as vaping, to me, it's incredibly stupid.
Well, one was not really preventable, as we know.
Yeah.
And one is extremely preventable.
It is.
Yeah. That's the thing. So you're going to stop something that is preventable. It's scary. It's scary because, as I said earlier on, we are on the verge of a public health disaster, and this is you know, a real concern.
Yeah.
A concern for me. I mean, listen, I know a lot of people across this. You know, there's obviously for other people there's big commercial interest, but actually most people, it's fundamentally about this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's fundamentally about this.
I've talked about a lot of, you know, old school guys in vaping, being one myself. I've talked with many of them, and they all feel completely, you know, disarmed by, you know, the policy that are in place and are, you know, menacing the industry once again. And why, you know, we still sell cigarettes that kill, and we know they kill, and it's okay. But we don't want to sell vaping because we don't know if that kills. That's crazy, man.
Well, no, listen, let's be honest. There have been lots of studies done by reputable independent organisations, and I know waffle on about, you know, Cancer Research UK, and all hitting that 95, you know, figure.
Less harmful.
Less harmful. Yeah, you can't say that really, but yes, if you are a health organisation, yeah, and I can as well, it's less harmful. But we actually, funny enough, in a previous life, we had someone who worked in tobacco and pharma as well. Actually, we had one of our scientists, toxicologist, a massive amount of respect for the guy, and he was part of the SEND process. He understood what the harm was created by the tobacco smoke, understood it as a toxicologist and the level of toxicity. And we compared one of our products to it, not one that's on, I don't think it's on the market now, I'm not sure. But we proved through a duty of care approach that it was 99.7% less harmful.
Yeah.
And actually, interestingly, I think some tobacco companies have done similar stuff to prove it's more than 95%. So if you take that, if there's a north of 95%, and then actually we were going to do really silly things like go to the centre of London and check out the air pollution and see actually, is it better in an oxygen tank to vape than to go into the centre of London and just walk around, you know, this sort of thing, you know.
I'm pretty sure if you go to Mexico, it's worse to have a walk in Mexico city center.
Maybe some other places as well,
than
for sure.
just vape something at you know, on top of a mountain.
Yeah,
that's probably worse to do that. So yeah, NuVape. That's your new brand.
NuVape, very exciting, and once again, kind of full circle. Started exhibiting in France properly at the first Vapexpo in Bordeaux, where we met.
Yeah,
we met, and you had a little camera walking around with the guys. And,
that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. We were both younger then, clearly.
Yeah. No white hair?
Yeah, no white hair. Well, I had a little bit, you know, but only a little bit.
Yeah. But now it's
you're catching up, come on.
I know.
But yeah, so lovely kind of full circle, launching at the Vapexpo, B53, I think, stand B53. We're not going big. We just want to keep it nice and accessible. We're going to be showing our new products there.
Yeah.
We will be having a party as well, which will be really fun.
Obviously sampling as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So be on the Sunday for everyone, for vapers, for businesses to come and to talk vape with us, talk vape with me about regulation, about the brand. We've got competitions on there. We've got a live DJ, party, dancing. So yeah, if you want to come before the award ceremony, that'd be very good. But the NuVape brand for me is it's to really be a vehicle for a new communication. And the key for me is really what's been lost in it. And this is an argument you can have another time. But this is a tobacco harm reduction product, yeah? This is lost now. It's only talking about vapor versus vapor. So it's like tobacco is not the issue anymore. So we've lost that real thing about quitting and that journey. So we want to vocalize it. We want to go to grassroots level and engage with the consumers so they can tell us their stories, like the people on the website, of how they quit. And we've got a campaign, as you know, on the hat.
Yeah.
And you think you're going to... I quit, yeah. It's like MV, NuVape me, I quit, yeah. NV me, or envy me, you can say, that's another way of saying it. Or envy me,
yeah.
I quit. So,
envy me, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, because it's a great thing to do. But this has been lost, and it's only still vaping maybe 8% of the global tobacco market. Mm-hmm. So it's not the time to be talking about vapor. Yeah, if it's 98 or maybe 80% of the market, then yeah, you want to improve, of course. And I think the industry has naturally been improving, not driven by regulation, because people are just becoming more enabled.
Because it's driven by consumers, basically.
Yeah, and I think
people
also,
vote with their wallets. So
yeah, I think so. But also, I think the stakeholders who are the operators, and I'm talking about a lot of the producers, have upped their games over the years. You know, At the time, we felt we were really leading the industry, and now I've been to quite a few places because I said I'm not going to manufacture again. I'm not manufacturing again. So the business it's quite agile. It means we can engage more with the consumers. I can just focus on this brand. I don't want to do white label or anything like this. I mean, it was fun, but it was, it was an experience, but this is not really my background. I mean, I know everything about processes, and I used to kill my wife. She used to go crazy listening to about short interval control and SOPs and all these things, like drive her mad. So NuVape is really, for me, is really to get back to the grassroots part, because it really feels like it's been left in the story, of vaping. And it's still so essential, because there are a lot of people who smoke. There are a lot of people who, what I was going to say is dual use, or
dual
as I
fueling.
said, fueling. Yeah, that's the one. Dual fuel. And there's a misconception with some of these people, not all, but with some of these people that, I am reducing my harm because I'm using a vape product, but I'm smoking. But no, you have one cigarette, it's creating the harm for you,
For sure. There's no minimal dosage.
There's no minimal dosage. And the strategy for us is the liquid, and the product is for the vape channel. And we are going to have selected online partners, only selected, because it's really important for our brand value to be communicated by those online partners. But also we really, really want to drive people into vape stores, because this is where they get to try the product. This is where they get to talk to people about maybe some of the triggers that they're struggling with and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of something that's maybe a little bit more in the UK. Actually, one positive thing in the UK is the NHS and how they see the vape stores as a cessation opportunity for them. I don't know how that is in France at the moment.
It depends. It depends on who you're asking.
Okay.
Basically, nobody agrees really. There's some association against cancer that consider vaping as a cessation. There's some association that don't think so. Some of them because of the disposables, or I would say rather, they use the disposable as a proper excuse to say that, vaping is a tobacco product and it's used to target young people and, make them addicts, basically, to keep them in the market, which is completely insane.
Yeah.
Depends.
Right.
It's quite complicated in France.
But it's sad because there's a massive opportunity there for the ministries of health, to say, actually, we can invest in this channel, because these people, they don't have a conflict of interest, because they don't sell anything but vape products. Yeah. So their livelihood and their investment is purely in this, Other businesses have less involved. I'm not saying that they're less relevant or, I'm just saying that the vape store is very unique in what it does, because it's dedicated to this, providing a big service around quitting, but also more important, not just quitting, but staying off tobacco.
Yeah.
Because it's a long road.
Because they're quitting and they're keeping off cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly.
For a long time.
It's very easy to do this. So, Yeah, so the mission is, I always thought, when I came out, I thought, okay, it's going to be cool now. And when I went, wow, it's really not cool what's going on. It's really uncool. And you can see the dynamics at work. And before, with the industry, with diacetyl, acetyl propanol, all these things, when we discovered there could be a risk in it. And once again, listen, there is a reality here. Toxicology is about level, because anything is toxic, yeah? So, water can be toxic if you drink too much. Air. Yeah, anything can be toxic. So it's about the level. But diacetyl, we took these products out, and the industry self-regulated super quickly with this. The responsibility, it was gone. So I always felt on top of it. We had the great, very good friends of mine, Konstantinos Varsalinos, Professor Ricardo Pelosa, doing excellent work, excellent studies. Some of them founded by the independent industry, which was important, some through other organizations. And we were always doing the right thing. And I think the industry has maintained that. But the problem being is we've had this wave hit us of disposables and different types of businesses.
Because now it's
more
easier.
Standardized,
Because now it's easier.
To consumer products, yeah.
It used to be complicated to get into vaping and open a shop and know what kind of device should I get, what kind of juice, what is PG,
how does it work,
VG?
What's the resistance versus the wattage? Yeah.
And you have to be able to troubleshoot everything. So it was complicated, and the mass of knowledge you have to acquire before being able to be, proficient at what you're doing was quite, substantial. But now it isn't,
No.
You just have to sell a stick to someone. It's in a box, and you pick it, buy it, vape it, and if it doesn't work, throw it away, buy another one. So yeah, I think that it was good for, I think the disposable, they brought in quite a few smokers that were, doubting that vaping was something for them. Some of them might have found, that vaping is cool.
Yeah.
But in the biggest scheme of things, I think it was more hurtful to the whole industry.
Yeah, definitely more hurtful. And, because of the convenience aspect, and I get it. It's an impulse buy, it's always positioned
It's the
there.
Nespresso.
Yeah.
It's the Nespresso. You put a capsule, you have a coffee, and that's simple.
It's easier. It's easier.
You know what I mean?
It's easier. Yeah,
it's
no,
even
totally.
simpler than that. It's just a cup of coffee. You open it and you drink it.
Yeah.
And people buy this.
But the point comes down to, and fundamentally, there was no explanation with it. Yeah, and this is the key point: is you go to a vape website, you have lots of explanations. Generally, they're amazing. Some of the websites, the information. This is what we're trying to build. But in the vape stores, it was like not just you have the people with vast amounts of knowledge and personal experience, but the passion and all these other things to say this is why you are doing this, and this is the way your kind of your route to smoke-free society. That's such a beautifully used term, isn't it?
Smoke-free, yeah. Well, every time I hear smoke-free, I'm traumatized because
I've used it on my website. You can't
but the
say
problem
that.
is the problem is now smoke-free. If you go to smokefree.org, it's a website that's run by the WHO. Yeah.
Yes.
And when they say smoke-free, they mean nicotine-free. And that's a problem because they are shitting on vaping as hard as they are shitting on tobacco.
Yeah.
It's quit vaping, and the same thing is equated to quit smoking. It's the same article, just replace smoking with vaping. And to me, it's insane. I mean,
are they looking at the scientific evidence and data? No, clearly not. Clearly not.
And they decide to ignore it. And to me, they're intelligent people. You can't fool me on that. They're not stupid. They know. And if they know and they still do it, then it's nefarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's obviously not well intentioned.
Yeah. But actually, you were saying, if you're talking about the things that would, this is probably, I'm jumping ahead, maybe a question of why I might not sleep at night, or keep me up. It would be like when the WHO was taking out a report on vaping and stuff. And I was like, it's so counterintuitive, but also against the science as well.
Yeah.
This information by, as you say, clearly intelligent people making very bad decisions, regardless of themselves, but for a very, very wide community of
for
people.
For a lot of people. I mean, when you see Europe that signed the agreement with the WHO based on, you know, this kind of simplistic approach to such a complicated problem, and, you know, harm reduction never mentioned. You know, you equate just smoking is bad, nicotine is bad. We want a generation that's nicotine free. It's not going to happen in a snap like this, and it's not because you're going to forbid everything.
Why?
But it's going to, you know, remove the black market that you have in UK. For
so they're demonizing nicotine as they did in the TPD because that's the thing that the TPD2 because that's what they focused on. Yeah. So demonizing nicotine, but once again we're inhaling. Yes, it is an addictive substance, but caffeine is an addictive substance as
sugar
well.
Is an addictive
so metabolically they do the same thing. So then it becomes it's not carcinogenic, so it doesn't cause cancer. So where's the demon element of it? There's not really one. And I think this is the problem that we have is that people don't understand the product. And that's the same for people who have been fed bullshit, excuse my language, I know it's short.
It's okay, you can swear.
If this was like obviously national media, I'd have to watch out with these, but I'll do it for you. And giving kind of bullshit data and reports, scientific reports about these products. So they're stopping these people making the right choice to go across from cigarettes. That's why people smoke, a lot of people, still, because they're
misinformed.
They think that a big impact was the Avali issue.
Sure.
You know, because everyone saw people dying. Well, I don't want to die like immediately because it was an illicit THC containing product. The Avali that creates illicit, so it was illegal. And they put vitamin E acetate in it, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally crazy.
That's cool that you did a small rewind on what Avali was. Yeah. It was I don't remember the acronym, but basically it was a story.
It's a pulmonary, basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pulmonary epidemic.
Epidemic. The acronym I think we've both been done on this acronym, so I will remember it, but not now. But yeah, it was a really bad thing. But interestingly, my friend Professor Ricardo Pelosi said a really clever. He made a very clever comment, which was he's like blaming the needle for heroin.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the same thing because it's just a delivery device, but it's
the glass for alcohol.
But it's delivering a totally different product for a totally different set of consumers.
Plus, it wasn't even regulated product.
No,
it was
illicit. It was illegal.
Illicit drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Exactly, and a lot of illicit drugs have killed people.
Yeah, they did.
Let's be honest, and you know, some legal drugs kill people, like
maybe
alcohol.
That's why they banned straws as well. Maybe that's why.
Oh my God, where are we going to end up with this, man?
but it's insane. But anyway, that's been nice.
But that was the thing. That was the thing, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
You know, with just to finish off, kind of thing. With the Avali, it created this raft of people who were really scared to do the right thing for themselves and their families and people they know, which was give up tobacco for good.
We still have a lot of jobs to do, and that's why it's good to see you back on the saddle.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting, daunting, great, really lovely to see old friends. Looking forward to the expo, see many more again. And cool, man. It's really good to be here. And thank you for inviting me on this.
No problem, man. Anytime, you're welcome.
Nice one, man.
And that would be cool. I'll see you soon anyway on the Vapexpo, and I'll see you guys soon on the channel. Stay tuned and bye-bye.